Welcome back to Everything Dune Awakening. Today we are going over patch 1.1.20 and 1.1.25. I'm going to do this in a slightly different format by just including the standout features that I feel like are more important to everyone and the developer highlights. I will link the full patch notes below for those who want to read everything themselves, or you can pause the video as I will scroll through them. These are the developers highlights for this update. It is now possible to place pillars between walls. A new sand bike variant and a new set of desert mechanic decorations is available for purchase at the vehicle vendor. Colliding with a sandworm's body while it is above the ground on open sand will now result in death, so be careful if you are trying to reenact sandworm riding. You can now search for items by name in the exchange, and the categories have been reorganized to make browsing for items more convenient and intuitive. Added deposit all blood and deposit/extract all water buttons to blood purifiers and water cisterns. The Solido replicator will now encode placeables and decorations, allowing you to copy your fully functional and stylish base with everything included. NPCs can no longer damage player-owned buildings or placeables in PvE areas. This fix addresses an exploit used to get NPCs to destroy other players' building pieces or sub-thief consoles. Fixed an issue where you could build horizontal pentashields without attaching them to walls. And partially harvested spice fields now show correct visuals after a client reconnect. These are my highlights / things I think it's good to be aware of. There is quite a few of them, but I'm going to go through them anyway because I think it's good to know. Increase the amount of scrap metal awarded when cutting apart crashed ornithopters by 20%. Increase the volume of rockets and missiles from 0.05V to 0.2V, so now a full stack has a volume of 50V. Increase the crafting cost of rockets from 1 Dura aluminium ingot plus 10 fuel cells to 4 Dura aluminium ingots and 20 fuel cells. Remove Solari from Plastanium tier deep desert loot pools. Increase the penalty to headshot damage from the center of mass technique from -10% to 25% at all levels. Muted voice chat while in NPC dialogue. The server restart notifications will now remain on screen for the final remaining minutes before the shutdown occurs. I have included nearly everything with the ornithopters / vehicles as they are such a big factor. So colliding ornithopters will now get knocked back to separate them. This will mitigate the griefing done to carrier ornithopters by swarming with multiple ornithopters. Half the scout ornithopter wings deterioration rate. Reduce the assault ornithopter wings deterioration rate by 30%. Increase the carrier ornithopter dragonfly speed by 20%. Increased overall boost power by 10%. Slightly increased boost speed while in vulture mode for the carrier ornithopter. The PSU/generator tier upgrades now have a more noticeable effect on heat stats. Assault and carrier ornithopters have had their boost thrusters updated, allowing them to boost to increase their max vulture speed. This is a pretty big one, so the carrier ornithopter's increased thruster boosts now also has the strategic option to cut its losses by dropping its harness cargo, go into vulture mode and attempt to flee using boosts. Slight polish on the vehicle's cameras to make them less likely to clip through terrain. Improve the logic of how vehicles are positioned after travel to avoid their overlapping with one another on arrival. That has happened so many times to me where everyone spawns in and you have like 5-6 ornithopters on top of each other, so that's a nice change to hear. Increase the time before abandoned vehicles attract sandworms. Again, this is pretty much everything for the Deep Desert and Landsrad, again, just because it's such key information that I feel like you guys need to know. So future Deep Desert layouts will feature additional land to fight over and claim for your bases with more resources being generated. Landsrad houses may now require Solari to be delivered. Sandworms in the Deep Desert now have a 50% chance to use a shorter breach version of their animation. Added a chance for medium spice fields to also spawn in the topmost area of the PvE section of the Deep Desert. Increase the amount of small and medium spice fields that can now be active at the same time in the Deep Desert. Increase the quantity of titanium and stravadium nodes in the Deep Desert. Titanium and stravadium nodes can also spawn on the shield wall, and the highest quality of plastanium tier resources is still present in the PvP section of the Deep Desert. Slightly reduce the respawn time of plastanium tier resource nodes as well. There is absolutely a ton of fixes, but I just want to mention these two because I've had these issues so many times. I feel like loads of other people must have had them as well. So fixed an issue that could cause the Holtzman shield to activate after exiting a vehicle if it was already activated before entering the vehicle. That's quite a mouthful, but I would always exit my ornithopter to a crashed ship. It would activate my shield and basically attract the worm instantly, so that's nice to hear that is fixed. And also fix the issue of resources spawning on top of pentashields. Not the biggest issue, but when I was seeing it, I was like, this looks so ugly. Please go away. So again, nice to hear that's fixed. There was also a hotfix for 1.1.20, which fixed an issue with traveling that could result in the loss of inventory items. So probably the worst thing that could possibly ever happen has now been fixed, thank God. There is a couple of things I want to mention from 1.1.25. There's not loads, so I did want to just chuck it in at the end of this video rather than wasting another whole video on it. So the volume of cobalt paste has been reduced from 1 to 0.5. They fixed an issue that could cause starter abilities to be be reset to level 1, causing players to lose skill points. Ground vehicles can now be suspended by patrol ships, so be very careful when out and about in the desert at nighttime. And they also removed the task that requires Solari delivery from the Landsrad board. It will no longer appear on the Landsrad board starting September the 2nd. And that is all the key highlights from patch 1.1.20 and patch 1.1.25. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do apologize for not being on it more recently with the Dune content. There's been so much going on, but thank you guys nevertheless for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and more Dune content coming soon. Peace.